why would you frame a movement as we are the 99% against the 1%?
Steve Jobs, really? I mean, I know he just died. I don't care how many jobs you know who he creates jobs for? Little Asian children.
That's what I was saying.
Every iPhone is built on the back of an Asian child. Or yeah, or
they have to sign promises to not kill themselves in those factories. That's capitalism.
And because you're paying people enough just to live and not be able to even educate themselves on a system enough to vote, that's not correct. That's not right. No.
So are you against? Is there some particular practice in China you're against, or are you against all hiring of foreign labor?
I'm against child labor anywhere.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're against every single person in history before, say, 1800?
Child labor? Yeah.
Well, although they may not have known back then it was a bad thing, but it's a bad thing.
Well, you know why they needed to do it? Because they would die otherwise.
If it's survival, then I wouldn't call it labor.
Stop. Are you justifying child labor?
No, he's saying there was a time when child labor was survival.
There was a time where women, historically,
that was necessary because there was no minimum wage and no regulations. People couldn't support themselves under.
There was a time in the
glorious free market.
So you know, in Africa, all over the place, there's child labor constantly.
And it's not okay. It's not okay.
But what is the cause? The cause is that people are so desperately poor that it's even harder to feed their children if they don't work. This is why wealth has to be created. This is part of what Occupy Wall Street.
Why hasn't it worked? We're standing here. We don't need to have this thing in our country.
If the trickle-down system works,
I'm not
then
for
why
it in
isn't
America,
it working?
obviously.
Why isn't it working?
Why?
I don't understand.
Oh, wait a minute. Why is it you're not for it in America, but you're for it in other countries?
Yeah, let's just make those Asian kids suffer.
Yeah, how come it's okay with you on one side, but not okay with you on the other side? That's very good. You just opened up a Pandora's box here.
Yeah. I know you guys are trying to have a gotcha moment here.
I just gotcha. Explain to me.
Perhaps I can.
Please try to recover.
Okay, so this isn't the issue, right? Throughout history, human beings are incredibly poor. They have a life expectancy of 30.
There was a time, he's right.
Yeah, there was a time, but throughout human history, humans have been poor.
Yes.
People have been poor, but that's not to say that all of human history.
What did you define as poor? Survival?
Having a life expectancy of 30, having a 50% chance of your child dying.
At the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy.
Really low on that hierarchy because a lot of the people are dying. And it's very likely to go through life as a parent throughout history without your child dying. So
so where are you going with that?
Being poor, right?
Okay.
So why are they poor? Well, because they have not yet figured out how to create a large amount of wealth. A big part of that is they haven't industrialized. They haven't figured out how to produce a lot of energy.
Okay.
In that context, every person has to work an enormous percentage of the day just for subsistence. Now, if he has children and the children are able, they need to contribute to that. Otherwise, it is very hard or impossible to feed them. That is why child labor throughout history was necessary. Now, the great miracle was once we figured out how to harness, I don't know why this is funny. If I'm wrong, it even wouldn't be funny. But the great miracle of history is that under capitalism, people figured out how to create so much more wealth that not only could they not have such high child mortality, but the children could spend their time going to school. This is something that we are a complete bunch of ingrates about and that we don't appreciate, and instead we say, oh yeah, child labor is evil. Well, yeah, it's evil in the modern context thanks to what capitalism and industry have achieved. But historically, it was a necessity.
Thanks to government making it illegal.
So excuse me, if the government had made it illegal for child mortality, what if the government had passed a law that said child mortality has to decrease to 1%?
What if it change nature?
Yeah.
You can get doctors to work on it.
May I make it?
Here's what they do. Please stop. Please let me just take it.
Yeah, let him do it.
Okay. So we made it work because it works here, right? So what do they do? Because here's what corporations do now. They go to a poor country. They have children work.
Wait, did you listen to anything I just said?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. No.
You're not responding because you're talking about corporations.
No, because now we have globalism. So we're talking about child labor. So let me go through my
global economy.
But that's just more people. The mechanism of industrialization and capitalism.
Yeah, here's what they do. They don't. It's not. You have child labor for a little bit, and then they break out of it, and children go to schools. what happens is they unionize finally in some places. They manage to stand up and say, no, you can't just pay us 50 cents. And you know what they do? Do you think that they unionize and then the corporations get more money and then they begin to go to school?
No, just move on to somewhere else. They go to another place they can exploit.
And they destroy the infrastructure so that nothing can develop in their own. Because what we have here can only exist. This kind of wealth for this
we go to the lowest common denominator
by oppressing other people. You can't get what we have without oppressing other people. That's why. Because the system, if that was true and only a few children had to sacrifice and that's the way it was, I understand that. But that's not even the way it works. The way it works is we have massive wealth. A few people get 90% of what comes out. And then when people stand up for themselves and say we want a minimum wage, they just move on and oppress someone else and destroy an entire infrastructure.
We're not saying we're against anybody making money. We're saying change the rules. And you can still make money. Just do it within the rules.
I'm saying the moral and practical rule is freedom.
There is morality.
Voluntary association.
Freedom to rape.
No.
There's morality involved. Morality laws have to set into.
Freedom means freedom from.
You want morality. You want morality rules, right? Killing is wrong, raping is wrong. Don't you want those things?
That all comes under freedom, right? You're free from other people coercing.
I am very pro-freedom. I'm pro-gay marriage. I'm pro-polygamy. Anything that anybody does which does not hurt anybody else, I say they should be able to do it. I'm just against.
Me too. So you should join me in the fight for corporations.
These corporations are hurting people. That's the difference.
Only if the government is enabling it. So if you guys really care about these circumstances, you should take a place like China and look at how can we affect change of the laws in China that are unjust toward individuals. But if you're against the whole idea of of laborers in China making less than laborers other plalaces,
so you're saying corporations in America, the reason?
Let him talk. He's just trying to talk.
You're talking about the China, right? You think that the China is misusing the little children there and taking work of them? Who is responsible for that? American companies who invested there.
Wait, why not the Chinese government?
He justified child labor.
Wait,
it's already too late.
He is justified child labor.
He says it's necessary evil
I'm gonna
in
move
other
on
parts of the
because
world.
I did my best case to tell
in the beginning of this conversation.